Hey, I wanted to talk about some of the ideas behind the shapes of these holds. So this is kind of fortunate. I just picked these 5 holds, came right pretty much in a row off of a strip off of our board. Something we've all noticed with the newer board, the home board, and that we are slowing down, maintaining a little more focus on both hands and feet, and having to maintain tension, while you're taking the time to dial this stuff in. While you're taking the time to dial this hand or this foot in, you're obviously maintaining tension through the rest of the body. And so we're slowing down a little bit on the board, and it feels a little more like technical rock for that reason. I'll start in the middle because it's a funny one. It's a funny one that I just kind of stumbled on. I didn't do this on purpose. I was looking to shape these kind of dishes and mini jugs, these fins, and I was trying to get the weight down a little bit so we get the cost down a little bit. So I pulled the back in a little bit. I really don't like putting thumbs in bolt holes. So I want a perfectly flat bolt hole, and I want it to be a little thin. And that, if you design this stuff for a while, you sort of end up at this shape. You end up with this tongue coming out. And then what we realized, again, I didn't really think about this, when we put it on the wall, especially side pulls and underclings, we started realizing, oh, that's a great slopey dish. It's actually a really cool, not incredibly hard, slopey dish. So whenever you have features that are out on the face, you have to slow down and place it. You have to look at it, read it, place it. By the way, that's also why we tried clear holds a long time ago when we wanted stuff to light up. If you have a clear hold and it lights up, you can't read the surface of the hold all of a sudden. The light is blasting you in the eyes, and you can see all the way through the surface. There is no hard surface. So when it comes time to place your foot especially, you can't do it. You don't really know where it's at. It's one of the reasons why we came down on the side of more expensive holds, because we have to pour them twice. But for us, we don't have a choice. It's the only way to make this system work. This edge is designed to be kind of blocky, like I think of kind of blocky edges like the stuff we have right here in Rocky Mountain National Park. This is a little bit rounded version of that, so I can make sure it's super comfortable. Here's one where I think about sandstone and limestone patinas especially. So the back of this seam comes together more crisply. This is kind of rounded and scoops out. Peter Jewell did this. This is one of Peter's versions. He calls them speed bumps because these little bumps, obviously kind of represent a parking lot speed bump. This last one, it took me a little while to get because I wanted a bigger sloper. This is like a 1.5 pad kind of sloping flat surface. And it would be so easy to make this just crash into the wall, call it a day and good. But even on this 1.5 pad, there's enough millimeters that could change, and a hard tension move where maybe, even though this is a larger surface, this is not a 10 millimeter edge, this still could have variation if I don't protect it by pulling the edge of the hold up and away from the wall. So I did that again, even with these kind of larger slopers. So that's also lifted. Every one of these is lifted and protected, and we will always have the same conversation. So lifting the hold, lifting the part of the hold that you grab up away from the wall and protecting it from any problems in manufacturing. There's kind of 2 basic types of grab on a hold. There's something called wall backed, and that's when the hold, whatever you're doing, whatever you're grabbing, the hold comes down and the edge or sloper or whatever crashes into the wall. And that limits that wall, the border between the plastic and the wall. That's where you grab. That's what limits the size of the hold. So you can imagine that someone in the factory years later, if they're not paying attention and they underpour the liquid a little bit, the liquid plastic, and it goes in, if somebody underpours that a little bit, and then the next guy, usually a different person, over sands that hold a little bit, you've now got a hold that's 2, 3, 4, 5 millimeters lower than the designer made it. If that happens, and especially when we're talking about boards, the big heart of these boards is sharing the information. So if we have these boards, we take all this time to shape the same holds, make the same holds, orient them exactly the same way. We try to have all this information right, but then somebody has changed an edge, especially something small. You have a 6 millimeter edge, or even let's call it a 10 millimeter edge, and one of them is 4 millimeters more shallow. This is a huge problem. Now, we can no longer have an accurate conversation online around the world. We can't use these boards as serious training tools. It'd be like having a weight stack that says, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. But, the manufacturer, I don't know, maybe it's 20, maybe it's 18. I don't know, by the time you get down the stack, maybe you're 6, 7, 8, 10 pounds off. Okay, that's it. We cannot no longer have a serious sports science conversation. Each of these holds is lifted in its own way. The first one I talked about is this entire sort of slopey scoop is lifted. In other words, it's away from the wall. And so you have to slow down and read the surface. You obviously don't want to stand here and you don't want to stand here. You want to read the maximum efficiency. Where's the most efficient place to lay my foot? Just like we do in rock most often. So even this one's lifted. These are obviously lifted. Again, lifted means just up away from the wall. And so it's protected from ever being changed in manufacturing. It's always going to be the same, and you have to slow down and place your hands. This one is so obviously lifted and lifted up to the surface, and so is this. And then finally, the home board is the most crowded board. So I was really influenced by just looking online at the Japanese walls. There's some famous Japanese boards at climbing gyms that are just packed. You basically can't even see wood. They put in plastic everywhere. And it has a beauty to it. It's a very interesting look. And so I wanted to see what would it be like to pack the board in more than the original board. In the original board, we left, there's a pattern of open spaces across the board. We call it sixth position because the original board, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 main kind of grid holds is how we think about it. And then we put a hold in the middle of that 4-dot pattern in the 5th position. But every other one we left open. So you can see there's an example over there. You can see there's open spaces across the board. On the home board, we packed that 6th position in. So it is 2 complete, is a equal pattern of 4 holds, and then we laid in all 4 of the other open, the other open spots. So long way of saying we couldn't put any more holds in there. People laugh sometimes about how many times I shape these holds. There's something like we're coming up on 2,500 different shapes that I've made to light up. One of the reasons is for the last couple of years, I've been trying to work towards this really full pattern. And you can imagine I can't have the holds. I don't even want the holds to actually touch each other because there could be a little variation if someone's making a home board especially and their drilling pattern is off a little bit. If I've made the holds actually touch each other, that can be really frustrating for somebody who's building a home wall. So I try to leave at least a few millimeters of space, usually a centimeter or more. So I'm trying to pack the board in, but leave a little bit of space in between each one so it doesn't cause, I'm trying to think out all the issues on design. I think that's what good design is. I'm trying to think out everything, not only about how I want you to use the hold, but how the factory guy is gonna make it and how someone's gonna put this board together at home. I'm trying to work out all the bugs so there's no frustrations. So what we've found with the home board is the combination of the smaller holds, the lifted holds, and the packed nature of the holds. All 3 of those things make you slow down. They slow you down when you're laying your hands, and they slow you down when you're looking for and placing your feet. And that pace feels like rock.